What's going on, web heads, and welcome back to day 14 of Spider-Pop's 25 Days of Christmas Season 4. And today, we're going to be working on our Spider-Man Lego 3D printed helmet that we actually have been making over the past couple months. And as you guys have already seen in day 7, we did just put a few coats of sandable and fillable primer on the helmet in the last Spidey-Lego helmet video that we made. But today, we're going to be going back outside and trying to fill in some of the holes and imperfections that we do actually have in the helmet with some Bondo filler. And then after we do that, hopefully by the end of today's video, should actually be able to put on some red paint to actually get this looking closer to a Spider-Man Lego helmet. So it should be a wicked exciting video, so definitely make sure you guys stick around until the end. Alrighty, as you guys can see, the sandable and fillable primer that we did put on in the last 3D printing video is actually fully dried. See, it is just very gritty and chalky in a lot of areas, so we're gonna see if we can we're probably gonna have to use a decent amount of Bondo filler to actually get a lot of these imperfections to come out. But I'm excited to see how it actually does go, because I've never actually used Bondo spot filler before, and I've seen it used in a lot of 3D printing videos, and hopefully we just have some relative success with it today. Alright, as you can see, we got pretty much finished up with the Bondo. I might do a few touch-ups off camera, but for now, I think this is about as good as it's gonna get. I'm hoping it smooths down a lot once we actually sand it. If not, we'll probably add some more Bondo. But right now, it currently looks like our Lego Spider-Man helmet just got beat up by the sand band. So hopefully once this dries, hopefully in like 25-30 minutes, we should be able to start sanding this, and hopefully it'll look a little bit less rough. But so far so good. We definitely did get a lot of the lines out that were actually created from when we put the pieces together, so it is looking closer and closer to being one full piece. You can hardly even tell that it was 12 pieces to start with, so pretty cool so far. I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out once we actually get this dried.
2 hours later.
Alright, we've let it dry for a little bit, as you guys can see. Pretty dry, nothing's really coming off of my hand, so I'm gonna start sanding this right now and see if we can get it to be relatively smooth. Working on a Lego helmet. Sorry for the quick cut right there, but we have had some unpredictable weather here in Colorado. I have done a few coats of the sandable and fillable primer off camera, and we've done quite a bit of sanding as well. As you can see, I'm pretty sure this is about as good as it's gonna get in terms of sanding and filling this Lego helmet. I think all the other imperfections, the only thing we can do about those is try to work those out within the actual 3D printer. But as of right now, I think it's looking as crispy as it gets. We're gonna add some red paint, and it's all gonna come down to the detail work. So we're just gonna start spraying now, and hopefully it comes out good. Alright, sorry for that weird time cut right there, but over the past week or so, we've been gradually working on the Lego Spider-Man 3D printed helmet, and after that last segment, we did actually have quite a bit of weather issues, so while we were waiting for it to warm up a little bit, as much as possible at least for this Colorado winter, in between weather outbursts, we were able to actually work on the Lego helmet. And the Bondo and Sandable Fillable Primer, I think it did really well, but I think it did about as well as I could have asked it to. But I think all of the other minor imperfections that you can actually see on the helmet right now are something that I'm going to have to actually tune in the actual 3D printer itself while we actually still figure out how to work with PETG, because while we were building this helmet, it took us probably about 4 or 5 rolls of filament just to get this one helmet printed as well as it did, and even at its best stage it still has quite a bit of imperfections. So the sandable and fillable primer and the Bondo did as much as they could do, but right now we do have about as finished of a product on this Spider-Man Lego helmet as I think it's going to get. After the sandable and fillable primer dried, we did actually put a coat of red spray paint on it, and I think it did come out quite a bit better than our first attempt at the Lego helmet. I'll definitely show you both of those side by side here in a second, but as you can see, the red is relatively decent, especially when compared side by side to an actual Lego minifigure. So I'm pretty happy with the actual shade of red that actually came out on it after we actually did put the sandable and fillable primer on it. But as you can see here at the top, there are just a few dings and scrapes that are just from the issues that we were actually having with the 3D printer. So at some point I am hoping to be able to get those solved, but as for now, this is what we got. After we actually got the spray paint on, I actually did take a different approach to painting the web lines on than I did the first time, and I actually did use a black paint marker as well as some masking tape so we could trace out the web lines with pencil first. As you guys can see, we actually do still have some pencil line right there. I'm not sure how well it's going to show up on camera, but I can just wash that off whenever I actually get a chance. But then I did actually just have to eyeball the web lines based off of a Lego Spider-Man picture that I had pulled up on my phone. And the end results, not too bad, not the greatest. You can definitely tell it's hand-drawn a little bit, but definitely a lot better than the first attempt at our Lego Spider-Man 3D printed helmet. But all in all, pretty neat. Like I've said before, this was actually 12 separate pieces. Both of the eyes were actually separate pieces, and each panel, if you break it down into 4 pieces, had 3 pieces each. It definitely took us 2 or 3 weeks just to get the pieces printed out for this, and then the post-process probably took us a week or 2 as well. And just super cool. I am really happy with how it came out. You can definitely tell this is a Lego Spider-Man helmet, and I would say for one of my first couple attempts, that's a job well done for your friendly neighborhood Spider Pops. But right here, I can actually show you guys the actual visual improvement between both Spider-Man Lego heads. So as you can see right here, we do actually have the first Lego Spider-Man helmet, and you can see the web lines are just so much worse than the one that we were actually working on for today's day 14 video on the Spider Pops channel. But when we were actually making this one, I actually did just put masking tape on it. I originally spray painted the whole thing black, and then we did the red afterwards, so then the web lines would stay on there. And in hindsight, I just really don't like how it looks. It looks like it's like recessed into the actual red of the helmet, and it doesn't look too great. Once you actually do put the mesh into the eyes, it looks a bit more like Spider-Man, so it wasn't a complete fail. But then we were also messing around with the idea to be able to keep this in multiple pieces, kind of as like a prop, so if you were to get hit while wearing this, the whole helmet would just scatter apart into a million pieces but still be able to be put back together. So we did actually model in Blender these magnet connectors that actually do connect the helmet together, and you can see we do have these massive magnets on either side of the helmet. So it did take quite a bit of magnets, and with these connectors, it honestly, like, I think it looks pretty cool once you actually put it on, especially when you actually get them to just like that and fall apart. But as a functional Lego helmet, I don't think it was necessarily the right move. You can see on the inside of this one, I did keep the magnet connectors in there, and I think I'll probably keep those in there in the future, as like, I'm most likely going to keep those in there in the future so I can put some padding around it and keep the actual structure of the helmet nice and strong. All in all, I'm pretty happy with the way this one came out compared to this one, especially. This one was printed in PLA while this one was printed in PETG. I did have a whole lot less issues with the PLA while I was printing it. As you guys can see right there, just the lens on the PLA did come out quite a bit better. You can see there's a lot more detail in it as compared to the PETG lenses that we actually did print on this mask, because every time we did print a helmet out, we just had a whole bunch of dings and imperfections, especially when it came to the lens area. So that was something that I did mess with for quite a while, and that's how we ended up actually printing it in 12 pieces, because the smaller the piece I found with printing PETG, the easier it was for it to actually be able to print the detail that I wanted in the actual lens. But even then, we still had some issues. You can see here at the top of each one of the lenses is a spot that I probably should have put supports, but on the PLA mask, it really wasn't that big of a deal, but with PETG, pretty crucial. So we got to figure out our support settings. Definitely a lot to figure out with PETG before we're able to actually print another one out of the material, but the plus side about this one, which is the whole reason why we switched to it in the first place, is that if you leave it out in the sun, it hopefully shouldn't melt. Although it looks a little bit rough in some areas, I am really happy with how it looks. But it does actually fit pretty nice on my head, and I'm really happy with how it actually turned out. The sound quality when you're actually speaking it does make it sound like you are in a bubble, but that's a sacrifice you're gonna have to make when you're Miguel's greatest asset. With all that being said, I am super stoked with how this Lego helmet turned out, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing at least most of the process that we went through finishing up this wicked awesome Lego helmet as the Santa hat falls in front of my face. But with all that being said, that is going to do it for today's Day 14 video of Spider-Pop's 25 Days of Christmas, Season 4. And with all that being said, I hope you all have a very magical and webtastic rest of your day. So make sure you guys are staying safe out there, staying frosty, and having fun, of course. Have an amazing rest of your day, webheads. Bye-bye.
Just like flies, look out. Here comes the Spider-Man.
25 Days of Christmas, Season 4.
Okay. La 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 la. Mark, stop it!